So in this video, I'll be showing you how to make what is called a recycler view for your app. This is where you have a list of items in a vertical stack, as you can see on the screen. And as an added bonus in this tutorial, I'll be able to show you how if you click on each individual row, so for example, clicking on item 1 will take me to a second activity, and clicking on a different row will take me to a different activity. So if that's what you're interested in, please stick around and I'll show you exactly how to do that. Okay, so just to start things off, I'd like to ask you to please subscribe to this channel and give this video a like if it helps you in your application development. It will certainly help me in growing this channel. So to get started with the tutorial, I've just opened up a brand new Android activity application. We've got the hello world there, which we can obviously delete because we don't need it anymore. So let's get into the build of the recycler view. So here, how we're going to be going about this is we're going to be using two different packages, one being an adapter, which will basically hold the view of each row, and the second package is going to be a model package, which is basically going to where we're going to store the data in each individual row. So in this tutorial, I've only put in the row ID or the name of the row. So in the example, it was item 1 and item 2, but you can add as much information into those data points or model points as you like. So that's a brief overview of what we're doing, but obviously I'll go through it as we go along. So the first thing we should do is just to right click on our Java and go to new and go to package, go into the main.java, and we're going to call this package adapter or my adapter. We'll call it adapter. And we're also going to make a model package, as I just said. Model. So what we can do first is we'll do the model first, and we'll create how the row is going to visually look before typing it all up and putting it together programmatically. So if you right click on the model, go to new and go to class, what we'll just call this is we're going to call this items. So here, as I said, this is where we're going to be getting our information, which is going to be displayed in each of the individual rows. So as I am only going to do this row ID or the name of the row, that's all I'm going to put there. It's just a private string and then the name of that individual string, which is the row ID. In terms of actually getting that accessible, we just build a little class called public items. And we're going to have one string at the moment called row ID. And here we just need to say that this .row ID is equal to the row ID. So anytime we use the term row ID, this will refer to the name of that row in the recycler view. As I said, you can add additional information if you want. You can add, I don't know, a quantity, a description, a count, whatever you want to add, and you put all that into this model class. Once you've defined the individual items or strings or counts or variables which you want to display in the row, you just need to generate getters and setters to retrieve and set that information. So to do that, we just need to right click and go to generate, getters and setters, and as we've only got one thing to get and set at the moment, we just press OK on that. So this is what we're going to use to get the row IDs when we compile the recycler view, and we can set them as well, but we're not going to use that quite yet. We're just going to use the getters. So what we'll do next is we'll actually generate the row itself and how it's going to look. So if you just go to Res and Layout, what we can do is right click and go Layout Source Resource File, and we're going to call this the row, not row, there you go. Okay, so let's go into our text and let's build this up from scratch. So in our row, we're not going to want a constrained layout, we're going to want a relative layout. Just going to enter here so we can see all the information. And what we're going to want to use is a card view. So if we go to search for card view, we're going to have to download it. Yes. Once it's downloaded, let's drag and drop onto the screen. Now we can go to our text and we can refine everything. So the first thing I always like to do is just to give everything an ID, which I will just call card view. And I think what we should do as well is just give it a bit of a margin at the top. I don't know, 20. There we go. So what we want within our card view is a linear layout, which is the individual rows, and a text box, which is a text view, which is going to have our row ID. So I'm going to have a linear layout as well. This is where it gets complicated, how we end and start each individual. There we go. Each individual type. This is going to be the linear. Oh, I'll get to it at the end. Okay, linear layout. Let's do the height and the width at the moment, which is just going to be, the width is going to be, well, the height, sorry, is going to be wrap, and the width is going to be match parents. Match parent. What we can do is we can make sure that it's vertical, and we'll just put a few margins as well, just so we can see the entire thing. I'm making these numbers up a little bit in my head, so if it doesn't work out first time, we can just adjust these numbers. Okay. So what we want in our linear layout is we need a text view as well. So the text view is going to have an ID, which we're going to call the row name. Again, always do the width and the height. So width is going to be match parents. And the height is going to be the wrap content. We give this an ID. I've done that already. We'll just give it a text and so we can actually see what we're showing, and we're just going to call this the row name. You can see it coming up in our display there. Okay, so let's finish that part off. So that's the text view finished off. The only thing we have to do here is close everything off. So we need to close off our linear layout and close off our card view as well. So linear layout. There you go. It's just automatically done. And now again, we need to close off our card view. Everything there should be looking pretty good now, I think. So we've got the linear layout open, closed, the relative layout, sorry, opened and closed, the card view, open and closed, and the linear layout as well. And this is how it's looking at the moment. Okay, so like I said, this is going to refer to as the row ID, the name in the row. If you wanted to put extra information along here, somewhere like a description or further strings, then you can do that. Just add a text view here and link that up with a string in your model or your items class. Okay, so what should we do next? Let's go to our main activity and we'll start building up everything we're going to use in our main activity. So obviously we're going to need a RecyclerView, which we can go, yes, sorry. Before I jump into that, let's go to our main activity XML and put in the RecyclerView, which we also need to download from a library. Drag and drop, and just restrain each side as so. And let's call this, let's give this an ID. Everything's better with an ID. So say ID, and we're going to call this the RecyclerView ID. Okay, so now on to our main activity. As I've just done, we're going to have a RecyclerView, which we'll call the RecyclerView. We're also, as I mentioned right at the beginning, but we haven't set up at the moment, we're going to have an adapter. So we're going to have a RecyclerView Adapter. We'll just call this Adapter. And we're also going to have the list, which we're going to use our model class for. So list, and it's going to be from our items, which we've collected up here. So we can call it items from our model. And we'll just call this items. Okay, so we just need to instantiate each one into the RecyclerView, not each one, the RecyclerView into our onCreate. So we say RecyclerView is equal to a RecyclerView, find view by ID, r.id, and we call it RecyclerView ID. The only thing after that we need to do is just to make sure that it's laid out properly. So we just say set layout manager, new linear layout manager, this. Lastly, we need to make sure that our list or our items is populated. So we just say items, and we're going to put in an array list. And here in this part, this is where you will define each of your individual items. So for example, we say items, and this is going to be the top item. So I'm going to call it item 1. It's going to be a new item. And here you give it whatever name you want to give it. So I'm just going to give it item 1. And then you'll repeat this process as many times as you want to give as many rows as you want. So here, this is going to be row 2. That's going to be a 2. Row 3, item 3. Row 4, item 4. This is 5. 5. 6. 6 and 7. So this is now generating our RecyclerView of item 1 at the top, going down 2, 3, 4, all the way down to 7. Lastly, what we need to do is actually add those to the list. So we just say item, items.add, and then we just add each individual one to our list. Like I said, we just need to do that for every single one. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Just copy and paste here. Spelled 6 wrong. Who cares? Okay. So that's pretty much all done. The only thing we need to do now is just set up and link this to the adapter view. So I can put that in now just because I know what I'm doing. We can just say adapter equals new adapter. Oh, we got no. Need to create the adapter class first. So onto your adapter package, just need to right click, go new, and go Java class, and we'll just call this my adapter. Now we can finish off in the main activities just to round it off, get that class done and dusted out the way. You just say adapter equals new my adapter, which we've just created. My adapter. The contents is going to be this, and we're going to be listing our items. Why aren't you happy? You're not happy because we've not done much in our adapter, I'm sure. But we'll get there, don't worry. Set adapter, adapter. Okay, so that's going to be red at the moment, but hopefully by the time we've put in our code into our adapter class, that will be happy. But we'll come back and double check that. So this is where the meat of the application is. This is where we're going to be displaying and interacting with each of the rows in our recycler view. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is just go to Extends and RecyclerView Adapter. Adapter. And here we're just going to say it's my adapter. So what we need to do first is just need to implement some methods, as you can see. So let's implement all of these. Still not happy up here, so let's have a look what it says. Okay, let's put in that's a view holder, see what happens. And then we just need to create the view holder class. Okay, so I think that's not happy at the moment because we've not got anything in the view holder class, but let's just keep going with it and see what happens. So the first thing we want to do is just to implement a few things. So we obviously want the context, and we need the items itself in the list which we've created so far. Items from our model. Again, we'll just call this items. So here, we want .view holder. I'm still not happy. Implement methods. Okay. Okay, so here, this is going to be where we have our view holder itself, how we actually generate. Oh, you're still not happy. Okay. Let's just keep going. I'm sure you'll fix yourself. Okay. This is where we're going to use the view. We're going to have a linear or a layout inflator, sorry. We're going to generate that from our view group, which is just this. We're going to get the contents. After that, we're going to inflate. Now we define where we're inflating from. So we say r.id, no, r.layout, sorry. r.layout. We find the row in which we created earlier, which is just here. We set that as the view group and false. Okay, so when we say the null here, we don't want to return null, we want to return the view holder dot view holder with the view inside. There's something wrong with the view holder, what's going on? Maybe because I've not specified down here. So it extends RecyclerView dot view holder. Construct the super. Okay, that's helping things, I think. So what we want down here is we just want to define what we're showing in our row, which is just the row ID, which is a text view. We say item view, which is just here. dot find view by ID, and that's our dot ID dot row name, I think we called it. So row ID is just something we need to obviously resolve first. So if we go to our view up here, we just say private text view row ID. Okay, you're still not happy. Oh, okay, I just missed out the new. Okay. Oh, these little things. Okay, right. So let's move on. So here we need to go to our get count. We don't want to return 0. We want to return the number of items. So here we just say items.size. In our onBind view holder, here I don't like that being I, is the position basically, so I'd like to put it in position. What we need to do is make sure this is all correct. Adapter.viewHolder. Oh, I know. Okay. So these two are the same. These two are the same. How do we get a duplicate? We don't want a duplicate. Apologies for that. Okay, so here we want position. Inside the position, we want to know where our items, where each row lies. So we say each row is equal to items dot get position. And here we can define what the view holder is going to show. So we say view holder dot row ID dot set ID, or set text, sorry, and this is where we use information from our row. We use the getters. So we say row dot get row ID. And if you had additional information like description, you'd use that, and you'd set that in your row, and you'd say get description, for example. Excellent. So I think everything's looking pretty good at the moment, except for this. This is still not happy. Oh, I know what I've done. Okay. Yes, I know. So we need to say public my adapter. We need to set the contents and set the items. There we go. So we just need to say this dot content is the content, and this dot items is the items. Now we're all happy, aren't we? Thank you very much. Okay, so that's everything in terms of making the recycler view and putting all the data in. So let's test that. Once we've double checked that this is all up and running, the only thing left to do is to do the OnClick method, where if we click row 1, it will go to activity 1, or if we click row 2, it will go to row activity 2, and so on. So what we need to do is just need to right click, go new, and new activity. We just have a empty activity, which we'll call main2 activity, although it's coming out as free for some reason. And we'll have a third one as well, fine for whatever. Okay. So in each one of these, so let's go to this one, we can put in a recycler view, constrain the layout, and we can just put in a text here which says activity from row 1, and we make sure that's big enough for us to see. And here I'll do the same thing, have a text view, and and say that this is activity from row 2. Have the size quite big as well. Okay, so that's all we need to do there. They're just examples. Okay, so for some reason, oh, look at that. Okay, I was going to say for some reason we've only got one row, but we do have all the other rows. It's just for some reason they've got a huge gap in the middle of them. So let's try to figure out why that is. So let's go on to our rows. Let's just try changing the height of the relative layout to a wrap view. A wrapped content, sorry. Okay, that's slightly better. You can see that this top banner here has hidden some of our item 1. So to do that, you just need to play with you either get rid of the top banner, or you move all of this down, or play with the padding or the margin here. But because that's not the main focus of this video, I'm just going to allow that to skip by. What we want to do now is have a recycler view, which is clickable with each of the individual positions going to a different activity. So what we need to do now is we need to go to our adapter, and we need to go to our onBind view holder, which is this here. So we just say view holder dot item view dot set OnClickListener new view OnClickListener. So that's just made our view holder or our rows clickable. Now we want to put in an if loop or an if statement, which says that if you click in a certain position and where the item ID matches what it should be, do this. So let me show you how to do that. So you can say if items.get the position, then what we need to do is we need to say that the get row ID matches what we've defined it as. So if we go to our main activity, these are our row IDs. So we can just say if it matches row 1 or item 1 here, then do the following. What we want you to do is we need to go from one activity to the other. So we need an intent. So this can be called go to activity 1, where we say new intent. We've got the context, and we got to set here where we want to go to. So we'll go to main activity 2, main 2 activity dot class. And then we just need to start the activity, or start the contents, which is contents.start activity, and then we're going to be starting this. Easy as that. Obviously, we want to do this for each of our individual rows, so you say else if, and then you just put in this information but corresponding to a different row. So instead of being item 1, we'll say item 2, and we'll just copy and paste all this. So we say that this is going to be a go to activity 2, where that now needs to be a 2, and this can be in line with whatever is here. So this can be 4. Alt enter to get it imported, and now everything should be good. So you'll obviously have to put in the if-else statements for all of your rows. I've just done the first 2 at the moment, so if I go on 4, nothing should happen. 3, nothing should happen. If I go on 1, activity from row 1, fantastic. Go on 2, activity from row 2. I really hope you found this helpful. Sorry, it was a little bit back and forth. Sometimes teaching this off the cuff is not straightforward. But if you could like and subscribe to my channel, I would really, really appreciate it. My goal is to help you guys in your app developments. So if you could return the favor by helping me with my YouTube channel, I would be very grateful. Okay, so have a fantastic rest of your day and Merry Christmas.